I would say it is plausible for them to,
Jesse,
circle back.
Jesse, listen, I was heartbroken after The Last Jedi when I did not see Luke Skywalker pull down a Star Destroyer from the sky or slaughter like 60 stormtroopers with his crimson blue lightsaber blade, okay? I do not want you to get built up, pent up, frustrated about the possibilities of getting a conclusion to Star Wars: The Clone Wars at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm telling you as a friend, I'm telling you as a fellow fan, okay? It's not. And that's why this debate is fun, because I could be wrong, you could be right, but you could be definitely wrong, and I could be saving you from a lot of pain. It is episode 42 of Beyond the Blast Doors, and we won't spend too much time on the fact that Jesse was right last week, but we will celebrate the fact that Clone Wars is saved. Jesse, David, thank you so much for joining us for episode 42 of Beyond the Blast Doors. Yes, Jesse, you were somewhat right, like 93% correct last week that the Clone Wars was going to get revived. You're excited about the 12 episodes to come.
Oh, without a doubt. But I also think at some point you owe our viewers a song and dance, if I recall.
I'm not doing that. That's garbage. There's no one saw that coming. My thing is, what blows my mind about this whole thing...
This guy kind of saw it coming.
Shut up. What blows my mind about this whole thing about the Clone Wars revival is the fact that it didn't leak. How did this not leak? How did no one blow the lid on this? I think that's the most impressive thing about it.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, Disney has actually been really good about keeping a lot of things hush-hush when it comes to these, Star Wars franchise under their ownerships. They've been pretty good about that, so it doesn't surprise me.
Well, we have a lot to get to that happened this past weekend with San Diego Comic-Con, but breaking news at least a couple hours before the recording of this episode 42 of Beyond the Blast Doors, we have new information. We have now the breaking news that Star Wars Episode 9 is going to enter production on August 1st, 2018. We also have a confirmation of returning cast. We have some new members, and then we have some confirmation. There's a lot of news here, and so we're going to dive right into it. I think Real Talk this week is going to be first Star Wars Episode 9. We'll talk then about Clone Wars Revival, but like I said, August 1st, 2018, we're less than a week away from that start date, but we're also learning about who will be in Episode 9. And we now know that Mark Hamill will return in Episode 9.
Force Ghost.
Billy D. Williams will reprise his role as Lando. You can really look at the verbiage here, and you can come up with a controversy. You can scrutinize this. I want to read the verbatim. This is from StarWars.com. I've already told you that we're going to start shooting on August 1st. That's at Pinewood Studios in London. Abrams and Terrio co-wrote the script. Returning is Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Lupita Nyong'o, Domhnall Gleeson, Kelly Marie Tran will be back for Episode 9. You have Jonas Suotamo, who plays Chewie, and Billy Lord, the late Carrie Fisher's daughter. Joining the cast, Naomi Aki. You have Richard E. Grant, joined by veteran cast Mark Hamill, Anthony Daniels, and Billy D. Williams, who will reprise his role as Lando Calrissian. So he doesn't say he will be Luke, but he will be back in Episode 9. I think it's a very safe bet. You're going to get Luke Skywalker as a Force Ghost. David?
So two things jumped out at me. Did you see John Williams will be back as the composer?
Yeah, that's pretty good news. And that's the great thing about, like, if there was a time to do the sequel trilogy, right, David? This is the time because you have the original characters, and then you have John Williams, who by the end of this, we hope, will have composed 1 through 9. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool stuff. I mean, that excites you.
It does me.
And what else?
The other thing, they've announced that they will be using unused footage from the last movie to do something to honor Carrie Fisher.
So that's where I get concerned. And Jesse, help me out here with this, because they're saying that they have unused footage, never before released footage of Carrie Fisher from The Force Awakens. So we're going back to like 2014, 2015, okay? And we're going to use this footage for Leia's role in Episode 9. How can footage 4 years before now be relevant for the script that was just finished 3.5, 4 weeks ago?
The thing they can do, it's amazing what they can do with technology, obviously. They can digitally edit, they can pull Carrie. So then they're not basically using like CGI. They're actually using Carrie. They can potentially cut her out of, say, the Resistance base from The Force Awakens. I'm just hypothetically,
and change the background.
They can put her in a different background. That's not difficult to do at all, I think, with technology. So it does make me happy that they're not going to recast the role. I personally would have preferred just not having her in the film, and maybe just like Leia is over here trying to win allies or something like that.
I was totally fine with having her CGI like Tarkin in Rogue One. I thought it was good enough.
Yeah, I mean, Carrie gave her approval for them to use her. I mean, basically a younger CGI version of her. For Rogue One,
right?
I think I would have been okay with with that. I'm not. Strangely, I guess I'm not really horribly concerned about it. I'm actually pretty confident in their ability to actually make it like visually fit.
Right.
As far as I guess the dialogue or the story.
Well, and that's where I'm concerned. And David, I want you to weigh in on this topic because you're talking about taking dialogue, taking script 4 years ago. How do you finagle that to fit this script that was, like I said, finished off maybe 6 weeks ago?
Well, you start by taking Colin Trevorrow's script and throwing it in the shredder.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
Well, I think that's what Disney did.
And, well, that's what we know Abrams did, too. So, I mean, Abrams he's had a blank canvas again to figure out how he's going to wrap up his story. So being able to take some of the stuff that Johnson filmed, if he can figure out how to massage that in there, I think that might be kind of neat. And Billie Lourd, her daughter, did say that she gives her blessing to use the footage this way. So at the very least, we know that the family's okay with the way that they're going to be portraying Carrie in the upcoming film.
We talked about how excited we are to, if excited isn't the right word, we are excited. We're interested in seeing how they bring Leia back to life. We have Lando now. This is the first time that Lucasfilm Disney has confirmed Lando Calrissian, played by Billy D. Williams, will be in Episode 9. So, David, I want to start with you on this one. Now that we finally know that he will in fact return, to what extent will we see Lando? What role will we see Lando play in Episode 9? Because think about this realistically, Billy D. Williams is like 81, 82, somewhere in there. He's not going to be able to run down the hallways of Bespin anymore. It's just the Cloud City hallways are not his friend anymore. He's going to be in a walker or a wheelchair. Is he just cockpit bound?
I don't think he's cockpit bound. I think we're going to see him take on more of an advisory type position. I mean, our lead cast is now all gone. So who's there from the old generation to say, hey, listen, we've been in this situation before, so let's figure out how we can use our past experiences with the Rebellion to start this new resistance and kickstart it and kind of beat the First Order. So I see him being that kind of mentor role that we had in Carrie, that we had a little bit with Luke.
Yeah. No,
carrying forward.
What I'm interested in seeing is how do they bring Lando back into the mix? I mean, I think an easy plot device to use from The Last Jedi, if Rian Johnson set anything up, they sent that distress call at the end of The Last Jedi. It's a big galaxy. Maybe it takes a little longer for you to get to Crate. Maybe there's reasons that we'll talk about later in the podcast why people didn't show up to Crate. Teasing comic books. Poe Dameron, number 29, I think. But you get my point. Maybe Lando going to respond to that call that they sent out, that the rebels in distress sent out? Again, we know that Episode 9, we're believed to know at least, that this is going to be a significant time jump. So I feel like it's too late. If you go with that, if you really believe it's going to be a significant 2 to 4 year time jump, you can't really rely on the signal anymore that the rebels sent out on Crate.
I'm okay with that. I want the time jump.
Yeah.
The time jump is good, but how do they bring Lando back in the mix? Is it because he heard the call, or is it the fact that he was somehow involved with the politics and he just didn't happen to be on the planets that got destroyed in The Force Awakens?
I think we need to see him come back through some sort of gambling game.
Okay.
I do. After we've seen him playing that sabacc game a couple times in Solo, I think it would be appropriate for them to say, okay, let's go find him. And there he is drinking and looking suave and maybe kind of slumped back in his chair like Donald Glover was. And, Everything you hear about me is.
Well, Jesse, you know about the Aftermath trilogy too, and we kind of know that Lando, post Return of the Jedi, he's got this droid factory that he oversees. He's definitely not just living off his earnings from the rebellion.
Yeah, that was what I was going to point out. I mean, we know from Battlefront 2 up to basically a certain point, because I mean, there's like 2 missions where you're playing as Lando in the campaign. So yeah, I mean, he does, at least to some degree, after the second Death Star, is we know from the books and from that, where it's like he does stay relatively involved in the politics.
You know what would be kind of cool is because about we know this in the comics, at least. The reason why we don't have like Snap Wexley in The Last Jedi is because Black Squadron was basically sent off on this special mission. So it'd be kind of cool if that special mission was to go get help. They ended up locating Lando. Maybe he was in hiding. They bring him back, and then you have Snap, you have Black Squadron back, you have Shriv back, which would be really cool. He's the same species as Cad Bane, so that'd be really cool because now we're getting that alien diversity, that species diversity that we want so badly in Star Wars. So there's a lot of potential. The tricky thing with this is it's Episode 9. It is the final film of the Skywalker saga. That's even part of the verbiage that's used on the StarWars.com article. So
I want to know how they're going to finish the Skywalker saga when there's no Skywalkers left alive.
Well, you do have Ben. Ben Solo has Skywalker blood. I mean, you hear Luke mention that in The Last Jedi. The Skywalker blood flowing through him.
But he's such a disappointment.
Is he, though? Because, I
think so.
If I'm watching the sequel trilogy, I think Kylo Ren's the best part. I'm just going to be honest. I think Kylo Ren is my favorite part of the sequel trilogy.
He is what I wanted Anakin Skywalker to be.
And I'm with you on that. And I agree with you on that. Now, I will tell you this, though. I think that no matter what, I think the hope is you want the Episode 9, whatever it's called, to be the best Star Wars movie yet. And not that you're trying to put high expectations on JJ and Chris Terrio, but why would you want anything else other than the best movie? Like, we want the best Star Wars movie to still be ahead of us. We want to see that. Jesse, there's more ways to do this poorly than find the one way to do it right that's going to satisfy most fans.
I think one of the biggest things they can do towards trying to, I guess, get as much of the story in there, I think we need a 3-hour movie.
Whoa.
Okay. I know that seems like it's not very popular amongst the crowd these days. The last one I saw,
totally fan of that.
I think the last roughly 3-hour-long movie I saw was Blade Runner 2049.
Well, and that which was a spectacular movie, not appreciated.
Really,
and didn't we prove that we would sit through a 3-hour movie with Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
And The Hobbit? I mean, my goodness, the Hobbit movies were, I would say, garbage.
I think with Episode 9, it needs to have that time duration just to get more in there.
Yeah.
It's going to allow JJ a little more flexibility to maybe rectify some of the
Johnson's issues.
Some of the things. Yeah, I mean, again, there are things that I liked about The Last Jedi, and with like any movie. This is any movie. There are things I didn't like about the Hobbit trilogy. Obviously, that's another.
You get to have an opinion.
Do we know if Benicio del Toro is going to be back as?
We have no confirmation that del Toro will be back. I think it's assumed that he died in the attack on Snoke's ship.
I mean, to me, that's partially good riddance, but I also feel like once again we have another wasted character, which seems to be a common theme in these Star Wars, in these Disney-related Star Wars films.
Right, but the thing about Benicio del Toro was the fact that I think he was a good character, but the whole lesson there was he wasn't supposed to be the person that we meet, right? We were going after the person with the red pendulum or whatever the ornament that he was wearing was. We met the wrong guy. I mean, really, at the end of the day, Del Toro's character doesn't matter. I think that Del Toro's message about
the
how
entire Canto bite didn't matter in the long run.
And then that's fine. And if that's your opinion, that's fine. I mean, I lean on that argument. I know that some people that watch the podcast actually do enjoy Canto Bite, and that's fine. You should enjoy what you enjoy, dislike what you dislike. But I think the whole premise there of Del Toro is the fact that he did the important thing of teaching, the fact that, these profiteers, it's the good guys and the bad guys that are profiteering off a war.
There's a war economy going on, and these people are profiting off of it.
Right. But then Rian Johnson is saying sometimes you can go through a lot of trials and tribulations and it doesn't pay off.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that the first couple times I saw The Last Jedi, but you know what? I think we can all sit here and say,
It's growing on you?
well, it's growing on you, but also I think you can, if you think about that lesson that I just mentioned, how many times have you poured a lot of effort into something and then it didn't come to fruition the way you expected? Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a friendship, maybe something going on at work.
Or some gauntlets for some Mandalorian armor.
The
have no
daily
idea.
trials of a cosplayer. You get my point, though. Sometimes you fail, and so that lesson has made more of an impression on me. So, go
Have
ahead.
they confirmed Kelly Marie Tran is going to be back as Rose?
We did. Yeah, I read that off at the beginning of this segment is the fact that she will be back, which I'm excited for. And something Ahmad Best, I believe, is the actor who played Jar Jar Binks. Mm-hmm. He came out about 10 days ago on Twitter and posted something about how he was considering suicide post The Phantom Menace because of the ridicule that he was receiving because of Jar Jar Binks. And it really kind of stopped me in my tracks when I saw the tweet initially, because you think about what we witnessed with Kelly Marie Tran, the fact that Daisy isn't as involved on social media. I think John Boyega is still involved to an extent, but maybe not so much. It's not Star Wars prevalent. Mark is still. But my point is the fact that, man, I hope we don't see a repetition here. That some fans drive away Kelly Marie Tran and really harm her mentally, because I like Rose. I don't like how Rose was implemented in the Star Wars story that we got with Last Jedi. But my goodness, Kelly Marie Tran is such a great addition to the Star Wars community. Yeah. How excited she gets when you see her on the carpet, when you see her at Star Wars Celebration, when she's at the premieres of events. She is so excited. She is one of us. She's a fan, and you feel that. And while I have the moment, I want to shout out Black Series Rebels, because they did a great job of shouting out Kelly Marie Tran, and they did this huge video commemorating and just people saying, "We love you, Kelly, and we want you to know that." And it was really touching. It's like 9 minutes long. You can find that on their YouTube channel. But yes, Kelly, I should say, will be back. Good. And it will be interesting to see how that relationship, especially with her and Finn, evolve, because you have Rey back in the mix now. They're all on the Falcon the last time we see them.
I really want to see what she's capable of at the hands of a different director.
I'd like to see with Rose Tico is I'd like to see her maintain just a platonic friendship with Finn. She wants to go into the space battles and honor her sister. And I want to see her, maybe if it's not in an A-wing, maybe she's in a B-wing or a Y-wing bomber, but she's doing something where it's like, I've matured, we're friends. I'm going to go, pay tribute to my sister. That could be pretty interesting.
For me, the toughest thing about the character, there are things that I liked about the character Rose. I really enjoyed the concept of, because throughout stories, you either got pilots or you basically got the soldier type,
right,
or smuggler or a bounty hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you really don't see you get a hint of it in A New Hope with like the flight crews kind of thing, like the mechanics, and again, basically that's what she is. She's a engineer or flight mechanic for this flagship.
Yes.
And then, during this space chase scene, she's basically been assigned to keep an eye on, the escape pods. She's obviously very smart, because she's got basically a handmade, self-built, like super stun gun that kills your teeth. I enjoyed that. So she's obviously, again, intelligent. What I didn't like was actually I've got a crush on Finn, like the kiss, like, she almost killed him and herself at the end of The Last Jedi, and it happened. You can't change that. It's there.
Well, David, it looked like David spoke up. Did you want to say something in response to that?
No.
Oh, okay. we know where David stands on all of this.
So I'm with you in the sense, like, I want to see this next movie be a little bit of a time jump. I want to see this character have matured past that, because I truly believe had she not did that, Finn would have actually disabled that super cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the ending of The Last Jedi could have been completely different in terms of story had he been able to complete that self-sacrifice.
It would have been a very compelling sacrifice. We want to know what you think, though. Let us know down in the comments below what you think about what the final installment of the Skywalker saga will look like. There's so many possibilities.
Tons.
And, like I said midway through this conversation, there's a lot of ways you can do this, and it's going to tee off fans, but there's, I think, a lot of ways where this can be really satisfying. So it'll be exciting to see. And again, August 1st is the first day of production for Star Wars Episode 9, still untitled. We want to throw it out there very quickly. How soon do we see footage from Star Wars Episode 9? Because we have Star Wars Celebration in April, but you have Super Bowl in February. I'm going to go, you're going to get a teaser Super Bowl. I'm going to say you get trailer or a behind-the-scenes reel at Star Wars Celebration. Because Star Wars Celebration has to be huge, because remember, this is the final chapter of the Skywalker saga. So, David, what do you think? When do we see that first footage?
I'm thinking we'll see teasers come out around the Super Bowl, and then I think we're going to get the first really big trailer at Star Wars Celebration, and then we will see that trailer again at Infinity War Part 2, or whatever they're going to call the next Avengers movie.
So, yeah, because it's going to be interesting to see, because I don't want to use Solo's marketing campaign as an example, because they were doing that with a tight budget, a restricted budget, a cut-down budget, slash.
I mean, they did basically
slaughtered.
pay for 2 movies out of that budget.
They did. So, I think you get something maybe with Super Bowl. And if I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we saw the first shots of Force Awakens at Super Bowl. But then you could get the behind-the-scenes look at Celebration. But we want to see that first trailer at least 6 months out from that movie. We want to see that first full trailer. Then you'll have you get the teaser, you get the teaser trailer, then we get the actual trailer, and then you get that international trailer, and then you have like 21 different TV spots that'll pop out there the last couple of weeks.
Well, keep in mind that this year's celebration is actually a whole day longer.
Yeah.
And they've added a day to it, which is kind of interesting. So either they have a lot planned for this event, which kind of makes me like, man, should we go for the whole thing, kind of thing?
Well, we'll be there for Friday through Saturday.
Yeah, without a doubt. So
well, that's 2 days. That's actually not a whole lot. I think I actually took off that Sunday. I think we'll be there for 3 days.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So
right
is what I had in mind personally. So
it's gonna be a good time. I want to know what you guys think. I'm so excited to get this new information about Star Wars Episode 9. Let us know. Are you excited about the confirmation of Mark Hamill will be back? We're assuming as Luke. Lando officially will be back in the movie, played by Billy D. Williams. I think what will be still the most captivating aspect of this casting news that we got today is how Carrie Fisher, how Leia is executed in Episode 9. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let us know down in the comments below. Now, switching gears now, because the last big thing we need to talk about before we dive into a lot of other big news. It's so much big news. Clone Wars saved. San Diego Comic-Con this past week, we had the 10-year anniversary of Clone Wars, and, they bring the panel out, and you think we're just going to reminisce about the series. Dave Filoni, as in years past, he'll just show us some renderings, some art renderings. Maybe they'll have some incomplete animations that they can share with us. Well, you get to about, the 53-minute marker, 57-minute marker of this panel, and then they say, we got something to show you. And it's the clones walking, and it's in the reflection of a helmet, and then you see all these helmets, and then explosions coming by, and you see that blue title card, Stories Once Untold Until Now. And it's just like mind blown. And you can, if you go and you watch that original clip, of the live audience witnessing that trailer.
Nuts.
oh man, yeah.
Can you imagine the energy? Like, I'm getting goosebumps right now because that series to me, we thought Revenge of the Sith was going to be the last Star Wars movie ever. So when we found out about Clone Wars, and the Clone Wars went 5 seasons, and then we got that 6th, the Lost Missions or whatnot. It was more George Lucas storytelling. It was Dave Filoni there doing it as well. It was just awesome. And I never thought it would come back. And of course, this brings us back to the very beginning of this episode. I did not know. I give you credit, Jesse, that you had some faith that there was a chance that we would get this series revived. And I would just like to know, when you found out the news, just like it's honestly, I always thought that Favreau's TV series would be the thing that would really like reignite my excitement about Star Wars, new Star Wars stories. But the moment that I hear that we can go back to Clone Wars and it's the same animation style, this is I'm most excited about this.
Well, first I was at work, obviously, when this news
That
dropped.
blows.
So like, fortunately, like I hadn't missed it by that much. I happened just to be like out either on my lunch break or my 15-minute break.
But tell me the emotions you felt.
So like, I saw the news, and I'm pretty certain everybody in our break room probably thought I was crazy.
Are you just yelling?
I was like, yay! Like more excited than that, kind of thing.
But you kept it PG because you work at a Hobby
yeah,
Lobby.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, immediately I watched, the trailer, on my phone and everything. But the first thing I did when I got home from work, though, was actually look for a live, the live feed for the actual panel itself.
Yes.
Because I was really curious at how is this received by fans? Because I mean, right now everybody's viewing, Star Wars fans as you got the diehard hardcore, I love it all together, 100%, doesn't matter what they do, and then
Right.
you got the in between, and then you got the really toxic.
Well, and then we had a lot of people post. I know MakingStarWars.net posted the full hour panel and a few others. David, I had to really push you to get involved with Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And can you tell me about when you find out the news? I know I blew us up on Facebook Messenger. What was your thoughts about seeing this series ripped out? I had to go get my cat. My cat is playing with the blinds. You answered the question.
My immediate thought is that if we're coming out with a new season of Clone Wars, you're going to give me so much trouble if I'm not up to date on Rebels. So it motivated me that this week I watched Season 2 of Rebels. So that way I could be caught up. So that way when this new season comes out, we can watch it together. And I will actually have all the information ready to go. Caught up with both of you gentlemen.
You're so behind. You're so behind, but you're
Well,
going to get there.
Ahsoka's now presumably dead, and Kanan's now blind, and I really hate Ezra's new haircut. So I've got 2 more seasons to go, and we'll get done with that, and then we'll be ready to go for...
I'm crying in the inside because it's like nothing. So much is about to happen. Oh my god! I cannot believe you're still that
I
oblivious.
just watched the episode with the Bendu and the spiders.
Oh my
in Ezra's
god!
stupid haircut.
I
do not like
I
his
need you to
haircut.
binge watch the Rebels, so then you and I can binge watch. We can all 3 binge watch Clone Wars again.
Rewatch it all together before we get into it. Can we skip over the dumb episodes like the ones with Hondo or
Zilla Beast.
You don't like Hondo?
I don't like Hondo.
Oh, I love
and
Hondo.
Hondo's been in like 4 episodes recently of Rebels that I've been watching,
Right.
and I struggle with it.
Hello. Hey, here's my question. Serious question, because we're talking about Star Wars Clone Wars. Paul is just having a best time. By the way, if you don't know, my cat is named Paul McCartney. Let's talk about, see, buddy, you get a shout out. See, that's why you should behave.
But the thing that I'm most excited about is more lightsaber fighting. Because I feel like in this new trilogy, the Disney era, we've been deprived of a lot of those lightsabers. So
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm very much looking forward to more backflipping, lightsaber wielding.
We only
acrobatics.
get 12 episodes. So is this 12 episodes that we'll pick up at the end of what we got with season, 6? Does it lead us all the way up to the Revenge of the Sith? Is this the thing where we're going to tell X amount of story, and then if the reception is really good, then we're going to give you a 7th season? Because we know this is for the Disney streaming service. This isn't going to be on Disney Channel. So that way, what we hope would be is it's going to be the same type of storytelling that we got with Cartoon Network, a little bit more adult. I think that's why we're not seeing it on like a Disney or a Disney XD. We're putting it on the streaming service because there's no rules there.
I think they want it on the streaming service so they can justify the streaming service and give you more content.
Which I think is, from a business point, yes.
Especially now that DC is starting to roll out their lineup for their streaming service. I think Disney needs to make sure that they're keeping on top of their game.
But there were some themes in the original Clone Wars that I don't think would translate well for Disney Channel or Disney XD. Like you kind of have to dial it back a little bit with all the violence. At least I could be wrong. I don't watch Disney XD programming. I don't know what meets that standard. But I feel like there's a lot of freedom with the streaming service to where if it doesn't stay on par as far as tone with the original Clone Wars, maybe they can take this a little bit more intense. I mean, we're assuming, Jesse, we're getting the Mandalorian Wars here. I mean, that's kind of what's alluded to, right?
Well, yeah, with this trailer, we get, as you mentioned, you get basically these rows of clone trooper helmets.
Yeah.
And there's heavy artillery blasts going off like all around, and then there's like the final one, and like all the helmets get blown up, kind of thing. And then it seems like this little teaser trailer ends, and then it actually cuts to a little snippet of Obi-Wan and Anakin, and it's like, oh, what did you call me over here for, Rex? And it's a hologram, and it's Ahsoka and Bo-Katan. Okay, so
good.
If you haven't read the Ahsoka book yet, which you should have by now if you're a fan of the Clone Wars and Ahsoka, Ahsoka kind of gives a little bit of a backstory of where she's been, like where, because the last we saw her, she departed from the Jedi Order, and it kind of lets you know that she did kind of like go back to help with the fighting.
She did, and there's an excerpt there, and I do want to mention, you kind of set up the next question that I have.
Yeah.
Which is, you have Maul, son of Dathomir. You have the Ahsoka novel. You also have Disciples. That novel, Dark Disciples. You have these different attempts at telling the Clone Wars story after the cancellation. So we've actually explored quite a bit of time after season, the Lost missions, the season 6. So, does this Clone Wars series, does it pick up at the end of season 5, or does it start later on and saying, hey, this all stuff happened? Are we going that much further down the timeline?
I want to know how much more Ahsoka we're going to get.
Well, I think
she's very much become a fan favorite over the years, and the way they left Clone Wars, if I recall, she's now kind of no longer a Padawan.
No, she's no Jedi at all. Mm-hmm. But it will be interesting to see her role in the Mandalorian Wars. And, Jesse, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like if they're taking time in the teaser trailer to have her turn around and say, Master, it's been a long time, I think the assumption is Ahsoka is going to play a pretty critical role because she's such a fan favorite now.
What I actually kind of predict for layout for this season is you're going to get kind of like half of it. I think they'll pick up where the season 6, or the Lost missions kind of stopped and everything. We'll kind of follow up to that. It will build up, and then you'll get into, this. But I'm still open to the idea of, them maybe stretching it a little bit further, because obviously, they teased the unfinished Boba Fett story arc at the last celebration, explaining where the dent in the helmet came from. There's a possibility we may see that. And you know what? They didn't even really specify how long these episodes will be.
Well, that's the thing, because
they could be your standard. I'd say the average time frame for a Clone Wars episode is 22 minutes.
Right, but they could go a half hour, 45 minutes now.
So if they're going with a longer episode, that means more story and the ability to actually really finish this.
Which I feel like I need to apologize, because I did kind of say only 12 episodes. 12 episodes of Beyond the Blast Doors, or not Beyond the Blast Doors, but 12 episodes of the Clone Wars is a lot better than no more episodes of the Clone Wars, right?
Oh, yeah. I love 12 more.
I also like 12 more episodes of this podcast, too. That'd be exciting to me.
So that is all our thoughts on the Clone Wars getting revived, unless I've missed anything else. I think we've hit it really everything. I think we're excited. Still no release date known. We just know that it has to happen sometime post early 2019, because that's when the Disney streaming service begins.
My question actually on this, I'm opposed to anybody watching. Do you think this may have been done to, I don't know, try to patch things up with the fan base a little bit? Because it's a great PR move. Obviously, everybody's excited about it. There's no reason not to be. In terms of marketing, I think it's a smart move.
I think you really have to credit the fans. I think there is a significant amount of fans that want the Clone Wars to come back. They've been vocal about that over the last however many years. I think Ahsoka has rallied up so many fans, so many more fans identify with her. And is it a thing to make the fans happy? Maybe, but I really want to just credit the loyal fans to the series for getting this to happen, and for Lucasfilm to see, listen, we canceled the series with the buyout because it was on a different channel that we didn't own. but clearly there's a lot of interest here. Clearly that they want these stories. So Dave, go ahead and do it. And that works out. I think my only concern, I mentioned all that now. I think my only concern is going to be the fact that, how much time is he going to be able to devote to this? Because you have Star Wars Resistance coming up too, right?
Well, that's the impressive thing is that they've been working on the Resistance.
Paul did not like that.
We're having feline troubles tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But it is kind of impressive that Dave has been able to pull off potentially, I guess, 2 story arcs. Mm-hmm. He's working on the Resistance, and he managed to, finish 12 episodes worth of story for the Clone Wars.
Well, we don't know that. These could be stories that have already been saved. They could still have to write these. There's still a lot we don't know about this series. The truth is, he's got a limited window, and he's got to get Star Wars Resistance to happen. So I think going back to my point earlier, is it going to be 1 season and that's it? Or are they going to give you a cliffhanger at the end of this one in hopes of trying to convince people to come back for a 7th season? I think that's what all comes into play. I'll be interested in finding out that workload.
I could be convinced that they will end it where it could be a closure or it could be a continuation.
We know that Dave Filoni wants to end it on his terms, though, right? Because that was always his complaint during Rebels. He's like, I'm glad I can end this one now. I wish I could always go back and end Clone Wars. And he gets that chance.
Yep.
Pretty excited about
Thankfully.
it. What do you think about? I mean, I'm assuming you're happy about it, but let us know what you think. Have you watched Clone Wars? Will this make you watch Clone Wars now so that you can get back on board and watch these new episodes and know what the heck's going on? Let us know down in the comments below. Pages, Pixels, Pieces. We're going to kind of still stay with San Diego Comic-Con in the way. Some bullet point things. I think at this point we're just going to kind of rattle through several of them. Book news, oh my goodness. Claudia Gray, Master and Apprentice, a Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi book, which is exciting to me. The Jedi Apprentice novels. Do you remember those early 2000s, post Phantom Menace? It was like 23 different books, but it like detailed like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and then like there was another branch where it was like Obi-Wan guiding Anakin. Really good stories there. And so I'm really excited that we now have an official, now this is official canon storytelling of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. You hear the news, David, that we're going to get that kind of a book.
This one really excites me, David.
Yeah, get me going on this.
And the reason why it excites me, because as I explore, so I'm more of a casual fan.
You are.
And this podcast has really opened my horizons to more of the comics, the novels, the not movie media for Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And the more I delve into that, and I encourage all of you to do that too, the more I realize that they've kind of done a better job in the last 10 years telling Star Wars in novels and comics than they have in the movies. So I am really excited to see what they're going to do with a Qui-Gon Obi-Wan, because I really liked Qui-Gon, and as like a 13-year-old, I was really heartbroken when they killed him off.
It's going to be really cool to see where in the timeline do they go with this, because Jesse, this could be Qui-Gon meeting Obi-Wan for the very first time. This could be in the heat of, I don't want to say the heat. That could be taken the wrong way. But this could be like right in the middle of Qui-Gon's training of Obi-Wan. And then does this include like Dooku as a Jedi? Could he have a... I mean, there's a lot of different things that could be involved in this story.
Well, this is the thing, is when you see the Phantom Menace, and if you're paying attention to strictly everything going on about Qui-Gon Jinn, he's a master, but he's viewed as, apparently very wise. He is respected, but he's not on the council.
He does his own thing.
He does his own thing. So what excites me about this novel is maybe that potentially explaining why maybe he's not on the council, maybe giving a little bit more insight onto maybe his knowledge of the Force or his understanding of it, and why, as you watch,
See, that would be interesting. That would be fun to explore, because we know that the deleted scene, we were supposed to get Qui-Gon Jinn appearing in ghost form in Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
There's like a car crash or something that kept him from making that happen.
Yeah.
But it'd be really cool if we would explore the lore of how one becomes one with the Force and is able to come. That would be really cool. Like if he stumbles upon that information, like how does he learn that?
And then as David pointed out, maybe some sort of like pre Sith Lord Count Dooku, would be kind of cool. At the same time, also a young Obi-Wan. So I mean, it's got all the great possibilities that any fan would want out of Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, with potential teasers or hints towards the upcoming conflict, or Count Dooku's downfall.
We're just gonna have to tweet at Claudia Gray and get her answers get some answers. Anything, Claudia, at this point, and we'll take anything because she's the one writing this novel.
Isn't it amazing that we live in a time where we can ask the artists, the creators, to tell us this?
Oh yeah, it's great. Like I get a tweet with Charles Soule like once or twice a week, which is pretty satisfying. Because I mean, because he's like a god among men. The other novel that got announced, E.K. Johnson, who did the Ahsoka novel, is doing the Padme novel. Is that a novel that excites you? Hearing about a Padme that has just stepped down as queen and kind of has to find her place in the political spectrum?
I'll let you read it first.
Okay.
Tell me if it's good.
Okay. Jesse, what are you feeling? Do you want that Padme novel?
I'm a little skeptical, mainly because we get a lot of Padme throughout the Clone Wars. I don't really see much. Yes, she's a queen. She becomes a senator. I feel like I don't really need that in between. Like, it depends. I'll probably still give it a read. It might be a pleasant surprise, but I mean, that's just... I'm not completely sold on it at this time.
You mentioned the Clone Wars. There's a few Clone Wars characters that I could think of that would be kind of fun to see appear. I think of Clovis, for example, appearing in that Padme novel. So kind of interesting to see where it goes. I think if you're going to do so much with Leia, I think that Padme is an underutilized, we haven't explored that much into Padme, and I think there's more to that character than what we believe there to be. I think that Padme could have been involved maybe a little bit more in 2 and 3. I think there was some behind-the-scenes drama that limited Padme's screen time.
Like poor writing?
Well, poor writing, but also there's reports out there that Natalie Portman was not enjoyable on set. That's out there. I'm not trying to trash talk anybody, but that's out there.
No, but we also live in a time where like people do kind of just like to stir the pot by going, oh, this way, and it may not even be true. So
right.
Grain of salt on that kind of stuff.
Right. So I want to know what you think about the novels. If you're watching or listening right now, let us know what you think about the novels. The other big thing comic book wise is Tales from Vader's Castle. This looks to like be a very interesting series. I think there's going to be some good canon stuff in there, but I also think that the younger age spectrum of readers will be able to enjoy this as well. I think anything exploring Vader's Castle should excite us. We're about to talk about, I think it was Darth Vader Annual number 2, where we go to Scarif, and we have that time period with Vader, but we also get we've gotten a couple more tastes of Vader's Castle mentioned throughout the comics that we have currently right now. So I think the more that we can explore that, the better. You guys have either thoughts on the comic book series, or are you just more so waiting to see the kind of the tone that comes out? Because it could be very childish, but it could also be maybe for a more mature audience.
It'd be kind of interesting because, I mean, you hear a lot of things about Vader's Castle. I mean, also we got a little bit of a glimpse of it from Rogue One.
So great. Watched it the other day.
Very intimidating, structure.
It holds up after a year and a half.
Steam room, which is nice.
He's not listening to what I'm saying.
But like it's one of those things where rumor has it it's built on top of where he basically, as some would say, lost his humanity. Where Obi-Wan struck him down, which would be kind of interesting to maybe see if maybe that's true. Because I mean that moment in Revenge of the Sith is probably one of the most heartbreaking moments right there between Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan.
It's so good. Dave, are you gonna pick up this comic?
Maybe.
Great. Well, that's really convincing.
Maybe. The comic that I'm really excited about, let me get down to it here. There's a couple other books that are exciting.
Well, do we want to transition out of the San Diego Comic-Con stuff?
I mean, there's still more for San Diego Comic-Con they announced, novel and comic-wise.
What did we miss?
We missed a lot of children's books. Did you get a chance to look at any of these?
No. What stands out to you?
To me, they're kind of interesting. The themes that they're focusing on for the kids. I get excited for children's books.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Mighty Chewbacca in the Forest of Fear. We get another one called Are You Scared, Darth Vader? And he's sitting there holding his arms crossed and says, I fear nothing. So it's interesting that they're trying to focus on fear and bravery.
That cover would have been better if he was sitting by a campfire and it was like set up like, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Like the old Nickelodeon TV show.
Yeah.
They've got a couple learning books. There's ABC 3PO with a goofy-looking C-3PO, BB-8, and R2-D2 on the cover. There's an Obi 1, 2, 3 with a smug-looking, Obi-Wan and a bantha in the background with a sand person and a couple Jawas. The principal strikes back that almost looks like it could be something out of a Captain Underpants type series. And the one I'm really, really excited about is Star Wars, a Luke and Leia adventure, which is a choose your own destiny. Do you remember the old choose your own adventure books?
Yeah.
Where you'd like read a page and it's like, if you want to do this, flip to page 28, or if you want to do Y, turn to page 50, and then eventually you either like win or you die.
Right.
I remember they had like a number of Super Mario Brothers books like that I used to love. Well, they have one of those coming out in the it's called Flight of the Falcon, which should be really cool with over 20 possible outcomes.
Jeez.
Presumably most of them don't end in death because it's a kid's book, but I'm really excited for that one.
I wonder how that how does a book like that factor into canon? I don't think that's a question that we really need to answer, but the one thing that kind of comes to mind when I think about the children's books is how do you feel like when we make Vader not intimidating? Because doesn't that cheapen the character? I mean, you kind of want the kids to be scared of Vader initially, right?
Yeah.
If you're a good parent or sibling, you're going to introduce them to the original trilogy.
First.
They need to be scared. Something special out of Vader.
I think they also need to know that Vader is a tragic character.
No, I want fear.
You want fear?
I want terror.
I think if you're a dedicated like Star Wars fan who's also a parent, you would parental control the Star Wars content that you're feeding your child.
Nope. At 4 years old, my son or daughter will be watching A New Hope.
No, and that's not.
6 months later, Empire Strikes Back.
What I'm saying is,
2 months later, Return of the Jedi.
Are you going to put a book that features a pop figure like Darth Vader that's not intimidating, in front of your kid? I won't. No, I'm gonna do exactly what you said. I'm gonna plop them down and be like, here, you're gonna watch A New Hope or something like that. We'll circle back to these books. I want you to be scared of this character before we get to the.
Now the flip side of this is you give them the child's books and then you be like, well, Johnny, you read all these books. You want to know what actually inspired all of it, and then you show them the original movies. I just think you might give them a chance not to like the movies. Anything else we missed? You read all the child's books?
Toys. Bunch of Hasbro. Hasbro had a panel, I believe it.
Oh yeah, we did. We mentioned that the Aphra figure and the BTE and a lot of Black Series stuff.
A whole bunch of Black Series stuff.
You guys really get into those Black Series.
I've got like 20 behind me.
They don't tickle my fancy.
The one in particular for me is, at some point I'm looking at getting my own place, and I have this kind of theme concept. I have the original prototype Boba Fett, which is in the white armor. So I kind of want to do like the history of the character. So you have the white armor, then as you first see him, and then Jango, and then
Jesse,
Captain Rex for it. So it's kind of like a historical
Jesse
shelf piece thing.
Jesse, is there maybe a female in your life to some extent right now? To some extent, is it a possibility? Okay, so I'm just going to say this: the woman that allows you to do a history of the Mandalorian armor in your home. Okay. I want you to
real keeper, huh?
Is a damn fine keeper, and I think honestly you should be a stay-at-home father at that point, and I think you should just honestly lick the spots where her feet touch the ground.
That's a little gross.
That's very gross.
You need to worship that woman. You need to take care of that woman, and I want you to bring her here so that we can all meet her. Can we make that happen?
Not anytime soon.
Okay, that's what I figured. You know what? More power to you. That's incredible. You're the whole history of the Mandalorian in your house.
I mean, it's not that large. I think it's like 4 figures. You've got the prototype Boba, and then Jango.
Yeah, but I also imagine you having your cosplay up on a mannequin as well, and that could get freaky.
I'll have like my own office, and that's where that stuff will be kind of restricted to.
Sex dungeon. Good to know. David?
I'm now envisioning you like in The Incredibles with Frozone when he hits the button and his bookcase turns around and there's his suit and there's Mandalorian cosplay armor. And
interesting fact, I actually have 3 flak vests hanging in my closet. Mandalorian cosplay.
50 Shades of Mandalorians. All right, cool. So anything else that we haven't touched on? Because we did mention the toys. We don't need to get. I mean, there's the Tarkin, there's the Luke, there's the Leia, there's the Rey, there's the new Finn. There's I think another Kylo coming out. There's the Han Solo exclusive with the Mynock.
The vintage collection. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of nice stuff coming.
A lot of nice stuff, and we'll get like a third of them.
Yeah.
A third of them.
One more thing for Pages, Pixels, and Pieces, and I promise I'm done with this. New comic line coming out. It's kind of like a triple comic line. There's going to be 30 issues. Age of Republic, Age of Rebellion, Age of Resistance. The description says, journey through the entire Star Wars saga with the Age of Republic, Rebellion, Resistance, a 30-issue maxi series chronicling the most iconic heroes and villains from across the galaxy. This epic Marvel Comics event starts in December with Age of Republic, Qui-Gon #1.
It's going to be so good.
Age of Republic, Darth Maul #1.
I'm so glad that we say this for last because I think this has a lot of potential to like it kind of like how like from a certain point of view filled in a lot of gaps.
And a lot of gaps we didn't need filled in because there's some awful stories in there.
You know, we were going on a positive tangent here,
There
and
are
then
some
we just took it.
terrible stories in there.
I think it has a lot of potential, and I like how it's in the different eras. And also, what a great opportunity for someone who's maybe not involved with the comics to jump on in. Maybe someone who's not as invested in the canon like we are, like you are. What a great opportunity to jump in. Here's 30 comic book issues. Learn up. I think it'd be really great. And the art style is pretty different from what we've seen in current Star Wars lines, which is exciting to me because I don't want everything to look the same. While I don't like LaRocca's approach to the Star Wars mainline, I do like that the mainline is different from the Vader, which has been different from the Lando miniseries, which was different from the Rogue One adaptation, which was different from the Last Jedi adaptation. So I like the variety. I enjoy that.
Fair enough.
That's all we have to say about that. Let's go ahead and switch gears now. That was a great conversation. The episode honestly could be done right there. Let's wrap up, I think, with the comic book talk that we've missed in the last week. So can you? Let's see. We had Star Wars number 51.
That what came out last Wednesday, the 25th, was Lando Double or Nothing, Part 3 of 5. We had Dr. Aphra 22, The Catastrophe Con, Part 3. We had Star Wars Adventures number 12. Are any of us reading that one?
Star Wars Adventures is pretty much
That's more the children one, right?
We have the number 3 or 4, I believe. Nathan Greno did the artwork for that, so we have that.
Coming out this upcoming week on Wednesday, August 1st, we'll have Star Wars 52, Hope Dies. We'll have The Last Jedi number 5, part of 6, which is the retelling of the movie itself. And real, I guess looking further ahead, Darth Vader 19, which is a new story arc. Fortress Vader Part 1 comes out on the 8th. So some neat stuff. Did we talk about what came out on the 18th with Darth Vader?
Yeah, let's talk about the annual number 2. What were your thoughts on annual number 2? Because I thought this was a great story that was done by Chuck Wendig that takes us to Scarif.
To me, it was kind of weird that Wendig did this story and not Charles Soule. It just felt kind of weird to me, but I really enjoyed the story. There's some really cool parts where Vader is ferocious, which, you know, eventually can introduce your kids, David, to that comic line. And,
Murder. I like it.
Yes, Murder, where he goes in and he just wrecks an entire colony of Geonosians. And it was either Krennic or Tarkin called him on it. He's like, well, they were animals, and they slaughtered them. I slaughtered them like animals. And there was like a little memory scene with him slaughtering the Sand People.
Oh, it was so good. It was such a good panel. And what I enjoy about this, and I'll say this at any point, I think anytime you can go back and revisit that Rogue One spot in time, anytime is a great time. Because it's so rich. And I love the preview that they had released of the annual number 2, I think was just the right amount. I like the fact that we're having Vader explore with the Geonosians. It's just... What's great is if you don't read all the novels that are out there, if you didn't read Catalyst, if you didn't read Tarkin, you can pick up this issue and you can kind of start piecing things together about how the Geonosians had a role in building the Death Star. And I need to be fair.
Well, they were the slave labor that built the Death Star.
They were. And we got that, I believe, in Rebel. It was Rebels that we got a little hint of the Geonosians' involvement, the queen of the Geonosians. So I'm I'm on board. I love the issue.
Unfortunately, I'm a little bit behind just due to personal, affairs from the last week and everything. From what I've heard, though, yeah, it seems like a really solid issue.
And next week, you get to jump right back in with a continuation of the main Darth Vader line with Charles Soule, which should be really exciting. And I got to be honest, my goodness, guys, Darth Vader, or not Darth Vader, but the main Star Wars line right now, 51, we have 52 coming out. It's really enjoyable because right now we're still trying to figure out, is Queen Trios a backstabbing murderer of the rebellion, or is she truly an ally?
No.
There's a lot of you want to write her off, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm ready.
It's so good. The rebellion is I think in this issue 52, we're just going to see the Executor and all those destroyers just descend on this rebel base. It's going to be epic. I cannot wait to see those panels.
I'm excited.
I can tell.
He's teeming with joy.
He's just, it's radiating off of him. That's everything for episode 42 here of Beyond the Blast Doors. We had so much that we wanted to talk about. We wanted to make sure we talked about the news. I mean, just hours ago from the time we started this recording was when we learned about the casting news for episode 9. We had all that San Diego Comic Con stuff to get through. I do want to make mention that it only seems fitting for this week's comic contest, and we've mentioned the slew of books coming out this past week that will be part of our giveaway. I think it's only fitting. Hashtag Clone Wars saved. That should be the hashtag for our entry. So all I want you to do is comment down below. You've been patient this entire episode. Comment down below. Hashtag Clone Wars saved. That's how you enter our comic book giveaway. We have like 5 packages of comic books going out here in the next week. That's just because, it takes time. People have to respond to our messages. We want to give you free comic books. Take the free comic books. Episode 42. It's in the book. David, Jesse, David. We're all having a good time, and I'm all thankful that we were able to crank out this episode. It was just a good time.
Yeah, it was
a lot of good conversation.
Yeah.
We should do it more often.
Definitely.
More often, David?
How about weekly?
Weekly? Well, we'll keep it as is. That weekly sounds good to me. Thanks for joining us, and as always, may the Force be with you. Thanks for being part of our Star Wars conversation.